talk about fundamentals of the market. Puneet Sharma from Whitespace Alpha joins us now to discuss the fundamentals and also some of the top sectoral bets. Puneet, good morning. Thank you so much for joining in today. We saw that big fall yesterday. Now we are talking about a recovery. We have this China versus India debate as well. What is your take on the Indian markets right now? Any sectors that you are liking in particular?
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. So in terms of the market currently, what is happening in the market? Obviously, after the large fall yesterday, it's good to see that the market is actually recovering a little bit today. In terms of fundamentals of the market, I think it's still a very strong bet that we have on the India story. In the long term, the India market is expected to deliver between 12 to 15%, and that's what we are banking on. Obviously, there will be small variations in the market on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, but that's something that the investors in the equity market should not really be too worried about in the short term. In the long term, as long as they're picking up stocks which are fundamentally secure and participating in industries which are fundamentally on a very robust platform, they should be okay in terms of the returns that they're hoping to make out of that investment.
Okay, so as far as it's the long-term take on markets, it's fine when it comes to Indian markets as well. So which are these long-term bets for you, Puneet? Where are you looking at investing? Or do you think there could be more correction which is needed and that is when you would like to put in your money?
So currently, obviously, the market has been at a very significant bull run. So it is at a high, it is at the PEs, which have probably been closer to the all-time highs of the Nifty 50. So is there a good buying opportunity at the moment right now? I don't think so. There could be a further correction in the market, especially given what's happening in the rest of the world, including what's happening in the Middle East right now. So if there is an escalation in the war, there is escalation in the crude prices as well, it could provide a lot more opportunities for investors to get into the market and invest in the equity. Will there be sectors specific to benefit out of all what's happening in the market and the expected rate cuts, which are on the anvil now? There will be, obviously, banking is something that we are very bullish on. IT is, again, a sector that I think is going to do well in the long term. It's showing some small green shoots right now. I would expect IT sector to do pretty well in the decently medium to long term.
Okay, IT sector is one which you would expect to do well in medium to long term. Is there any place where you're waiting for a correction, Puneet? IT, of course, has run up a little and the consensus is that it could continue to grow from here on or see better returns from here on. Is there any place where you think is good in terms of growth, but valuations are not supportive at these levels?
Right now, I think FMCG is a sector that I would probably categorize into this category where we would want to see a little more correction happening, especially given that the demand scenario right now in the FMCG side is not that great. From whatever that we are hearing from the market, the demand of products in the FMCG sector, especially companies like HUL, ITC, Dabur, Britannia, etc., they're not as strong as they were expected to be. With the rates cut coming in, probably these sectors will become more lucrative. But as of now, I would expect them to face a little bit more heat in the market, have a bit more of a correction before we start entering into these sectors.
Okay. We have this big China versus India debate which is going on. I just wanted to understand, one, if you would look at any of these international markets, and two, if China would be one of them, because we've already seen a 27% rally before there was this long holiday in the Chinese markets. Do you think this is the start of the bull rally that everyone's been talking about?
There have been numerous bull rallies which have happened in the Chinese market in the past 1.5 years or probably about 2 years odd. So ever since they opened after the 2022 COVID pandemic that was ravaging through the country in China, I think there were times when the market suddenly ramped up, but it's not really been a sustained rally in the Chinese market. So I'm not really certain that this is going to be another sustained rally in the Chinese market right now. It's just a reflection of what's happening in terms of the regulatory changes and the support from the government which has come in. The stimulus package is going to run out after a little while. So the economy needs to catch up in order for this kind of a growth in the Chinese market to be consistent. And if there are indications that the economy in China is going to be robust enough for such a growth to happen, then yeah, something Investments in the Chinese market, especially on the real estate side, are pretty risky at the moment. So we'd be more of a wait and watch. Although in our fund, we are very focused on the India market. So our expectation is that the Nifty 50, that's the bellwether, that's the index that we are focused on, and expect that index to deliver the kind of returns that we want to deliver to our investors.
Okay. You know, one of your strategies is the momentum strategy. It does work in times. It must have worked a lot because the last few years or the last few quarters were very good on the upside. But do you think this is something that would work now as well? Because now it could be very volatile from an index perspective.
Right. We call that strategy our momentum strategy, but we are very neutral to the market overall. So we will have positions in the derivative market on either side of where the market is, trying to make a small amount of money if there is a movement in the market on either direction. So.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I mean, it's very dependent upon how the market is and the liquidity available.
All right. Take that point, Puneet. Thank you so much for joining in today with your take and the outlook on the Indian markets and the sectors that you like as well. Time for a short break now. Pankaj Naik from India Ratings and Research will join in next to discuss the recent report on unsecured business loans and how there have been some delinquencies there. Stay tuned.